The morning of March 10th, 2019, dawned bright and clear over Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. At Bole International Airport, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 prepared for takeoff. The Boeing 737 MAX 8, a new aircraft, was destined for Nairobi, Kenya. On board were 149 passengers and 8 crew members, representing 35 nations. They carried hopes, dreams, and the promise of new beginnings. Among them were families on holiday, business travelers, and aid workers. Their lives, a tapestry of diverse experiences, were about to be tragically intertwined. At 8:38 a.m. local time, Flight 302 lifted off the runway, ascending into the azure sky. Just 6 minutes later, tragedy struck. The aircraft, battling erratic systems, plummeted to the earth at terrifying speed. The impact near the town of Bishoftu left a scene of unimaginable devastation. A crater 90 feet deep marked the final resting place of the aircraft and all those aboard. The world watched in horror as news of the disaster spread. The loss of life, a stark reminder of aviation's inherent risks. The crash of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 sent shockwaves across the globe. It was a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of technological failure. For the families of the victims, the news was unbearable. Their loved ones, lost in an instant, left behind a void impossible to fill. The tragedy demanded answers. What went wrong? Who was responsible? The search for truth and accountability was about to begin. The investigation into the crash of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 was immediate and intense. International teams of experts converged on the crash site. They meticulously combed through the wreckage, searching for clues. Their focus quickly narrowed to the aircraft's black boxes, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder. These devices, designed to withstand extreme impacts, held the key to understanding the final moments of the doomed flight. Analysis of the black box data revealed a chilling narrative. A faulty automated flight control system known as the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, had malfunctioned. The MCAS, designed to prevent stalls, had received erroneous data from a single sensor. This triggered a cascade of automated nose-down inputs, forcing the aircraft into a steep dive. The pilots, battling for control, were overwhelmed by the relentless force of the malfunctioning system. The investigation revealed a critical flaw in the design of the MCAS system. Its reliance on a single sensor for critical data proved fatal. Furthermore, the system lacked adequate safeguards to prevent such a catastrophic failure. The investigation also uncovered inadequate pilot training on the MCAS system, leaving them ill-equipped to handle the emergency. The findings pointed to a systemic failure, a combination of design flaws, inadequate training, and regulatory oversights. In the aftermath of the crash, Boeing, the manufacturer of the 737 MAX, faced intense scrutiny. The company initially defended the safety of its aircraft, but the evidence was mounting. The Ethiopian Airlines crash, coming just 5 months after a similar incident involving a Lion Air 737 MAX in Indonesia, exposed a pattern of systemic failures. The global community demanded answers, and families of the victims deserved justice. In November 2021, after years of investigations and legal battles, Boeing finally admitted responsibility. The company acknowledged that the MCAS system posed an unsafe condition. This admission paved the way for a historic settlement. Boeing agreed to pay $2.5 billion, including a $500 million fund to compensate the families of the victims of both the Ethiopian Airlines and Lion Air crashes. While the settlement represented a significant victory for the families, the process of distributing the funds was complex and fraught with challenges. Families struggled to navigate the legal system and obtain fair compensation for their losses. The situation was particularly dire in Kenya, where many families faced additional hurdles due to poverty, lack of legal representation, and a culture of corruption. The tragedy of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 cast a long shadow over Kenya, a nation that lost 32 citizens in the crash. For many Kenyan families, the promise of compensation offered a glimmer of hope amidst their grief. However, the process of seeking justice soon turned into a nightmare as allegations of fraud and corruption surfaced. Lawyers entrusted to represent the victims' families were accused of exploiting their clients' vulnerability for personal gain. One of the most egregious cases involved allegations against Irungu Kangata, the governor of Murang'a County. Kangata, a lawyer by profession, was accused of orchestrating a scheme to defraud the families of their rightful compensation. The allegations sent shockwaves through the country, tarnishing the image of the legal profession and deepening the wounds of the grieving families. Governor Kangata's alleged involvement in the compensation scandal sent shockwaves through Kenya. Once a respected lawyer and public servant, he now faced accusations of exploiting the tragedy for personal gain. The allegations against him centered on claims of forgery, identity theft, and misappropriation of funds. He was accused of forging the signatures of victims' families to gain control of their compensation claims. One of the most disturbing allegations involved Kangata's alleged impersonation of next of kin for 6 different families. Each family was entitled to $1.2 million in compensation, bringing the potential illicit gains to over $7 million. The allegations painted a picture of a calculated scheme to defraud vulnerable families at their most desperate hour. The allegations against Kangata pointed to a wider conspiracy, one that extended beyond a single individual. Whistleblowers came forward, alleging the involvement of other lawyers and individuals operating within Nairobi's Britam Towers, a high-rise building known for housing legal and financial firms. These individuals were accused of working in collusion to identify and exploit vulnerable families, using their legal expertise to manipulate the system for personal gain. The scheme, as alleged by insiders, involved a network of individuals operating at various levels of the legal system. They allegedly used their connections to access confidential information, forge documents, and channel funds into their own accounts. The Britam Towers building, once a symbol of Kenya's economic progress, became a symbol of greed and corruption. The Kenyan compensation scandal added another layer of pain and suffering to the already immense grief of the families. They felt betrayed by the very people they had trusted to represent them, their hopes for justice dashed by greed and corruption. The scandal highlighted the deep-seated issues of corruption and lack of accountability that plague many sectors of Kenyan society. The families' fight for justice went beyond monetary compensation. It was about holding those responsible accountable, ensuring transparency in the legal system, and restoring faith in the institutions meant to protect the vulnerable. Their struggle resonated with many Kenyans who had experienced similar injustices, highlighting the urgent need for systemic change. The Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 tragedy had a profound impact on the aviation industry worldwide. It led to the global grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX for nearly 2 years, the longest grounding of a commercial aircraft in history. This unprecedented move underscored the seriousness of the design flaws and the need for rigorous safety improvements. The tragedy also prompted a reassessment of pilot training procedures, particularly regarding automated flight control systems. The investigation revealed that many pilots lacked sufficient training and understanding of the MCAS system, contributing to their inability to regain control of the aircraft. In response, airlines and regulators implemented enhanced training programs, emphasizing manual flight skills and emergency procedures for handling automated system malfunctions. While the settlement with Boeing marked a significant milestone, the pursuit of justice for the victims of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 is far from over. Civil lawsuits against Boeing continue in various jurisdictions, with families seeking further compensation and accountability. The Kenyan compensation scandal remains under investigation, with calls for the prosecution of those involved, including Governor Kangata. The families of the victims remain resolute in their pursuit of justice. They continue to demand transparency, accountability, and systemic change to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. Their resilience serves as a powerful reminder that the fight for justice is often long and arduous, but ultimately essential in honoring the memories of those lost and ensuring a safer future for all.